Okay, this would be Unit 2, Lesson 6. We've been busy graphing quadratics and their parabola shape. Now we're going to take a look at the graph and go the opposite way. We're going to take the graph and we're going to write its equation. So remember the pattern for the equation. Y equals ax minus h squared plus k. Remembering that A is a vertical stretch or shrink, and H and K are your vertex. So all we need to know to write an equation is the stretch or the shrink and the vertex. So when we write our equation, our first step is to figure out the vertex, remembering that the vertex is the highest or the lowest point. So when I look at the graph that I'm given, there's my highest point, and the coordinates of that point are over 0 and up 4. So my vertex is 0 and 4. So far, so good. Next is a little more complicated. That's all right. We've been doing a bunch of graphs. Next part, you have to remember the step pattern for the rise of a parabola. The step pattern being the fact that the parabola will go over 1, and in this case, down 1, and over 1, and down 3, and over 1, and down 5. And it has that pattern, the basic parabola. When you're writing an equation, you're going to go to your parabola, and you're going to go over 1 from the vertex and up or down to meet your parabola, just like I've drawn on my parabola. Over 1, and in this case, I'm going down 1 to meet my parabola. That will tell you your A value. A will be positive if the parabola opens up, and negative if the parabola opens down. So in my case, I've gone over 1, and I had to go down 1 to meet my parabola. So my A will be -1. Because I went down, it's negative, and how much I went down is 1. Lastly, to write your equation, all you need to do is fill in the numbers for A, H, and K. So I'm going to take and I'm going to write my equation for this graph. So therefore, y equals, take out the A and put in my A value of -1, keep my bracket, keep my x, take out my H and put in my value, which is 0, bracket, squared, take out my K and put in my value, which is 4. In this case, we're going to tidy up our equation a little bit, because in math, we don't like to write more than we have to. So take away 0 doesn't affect anything. If I take away 0, it's not going to change my answer any. So I don't need to write it. So my equation is actually -x, guess I don't need my bracket there either, -x squared plus 4. And the other thing we're lazy about in math is the ones. We don't like to write any more than we have to. So in math, we'll leave out the 1 and just put the negative sign. So we've written our equation. Find your vertex, look at your step pattern, fill in the numbers. Let's try a few together, and then you're going to try some on your own. So here's my first graph. I want to find my vertex. So there's my vertex, my lowest point. The coordinates for my vertex are over 3 and up 2. So my vertex is 3 and 2. So that's my H and that's my K. To get the A for my equation, I look at the step pattern. So I look at my vertex and I go over 1, and in this case I'm going up 1. So that's my standard step pattern. Because I went up, it's positive, and because I met the graph after going up only 1, its number is 1. So to write my equation, I fill in those values into this pattern, taking out the A, the H, and the K, and putting in the numbers I've found. So my equation is y equals 1, and we're lazy in math. We don't like to write those ones, so we'll just leave it. Bracket x minus 3, bracket, squared, plus 2. There's my equation. Next one. Same deal. I want to find my vertex. So there's my vertex, the lowest point. That point is over -1 and down -5. So the vertex is -1, -5, my h and my k. Now I want to find my a value. So I start at my vertex and I go over 1 and I go up until I meet my parabola. In this case, when I look at my scale, I have gone up 2. So that makes my a positive because I've gone up, and its number value will be 2 because it's 2 on the scale that I've gone up. So I'm going to fill in my pattern. There's the pattern, ax minus h squared plus k. So my equation would be 2 instead of a, x minus h is -1. Be careful with those negatives, and k is -5. Be careful with those negatives because what happens is you're taking away a negative number. And we always remember 2 negatives make a positive. So I actually have x plus 1 squared minus 5. So far, so good. 2 more quick examples, and then you're going to try some on your own. So first step, boom, vertex. So in this case, I've gone over 0 and up 4. So my vertex is 0, 4. Next step, I want my a value. So I start at my vertex and I go over, having trouble seeing that on my projector, getting a bit of a shadow, going over, oh, and down 1. So down is negative and the unit is 1. Fill in my pattern. Y equals negative. We're too lazy to write down the ones, but we got to have the negative. Bracket x minus 0. Oh wait, I remember that we don't want to write more than we have to, so I don't need the 0. It's not going to change anything. If I don't have the 0, then I don't need the bracket. Squared plus my k number, which is 4. There we go. Last one. Vertex. Boom. Over -2, up 0. So my vertex, -2, 0. My a value. Start at my vertex and go over and up. And this time, I've only gone up half a square. So my vertex is a half. And it's up, so it's positive. So my equation is y equals 1/2, bracket x, take away -2 squared plus 0. 2 things to remember. Signs. Let's tidy up this equation. Oops, I didn't do a very good job of writing that. There we go, half. 2 negatives make a positive, and I'm too lazy to write down the plus 0 because it doesn't change anything. So there's my equation. All right, your job is to try some of those on your own. Page 213, number 4 and 5. Be sure to ask if you have any questions.